Snow the Salt Queen was a TikToker with over 1.6 million followers. They were well known for cosplaying, and, unfortunately, their reckless behaviour too. A reckless behaviour that, one fateful night, would cost the life of an
The friends are force one. You've been there for me. Uda! Chat, be like Uda, like and comment on the TikTok repost if you're feeling spicy. Thank you. We're here for you, Swan.
aspiring young woman. My name is Adrian, and welcome back to another video by Coffeehouse Crime. Short disclaimer, but this case is different to the type that I usually cover here. We're diving deep into the world of the internet to review an ongoing case of the famous TikToker. Today we're looking at the case of Snow the Salt Queen, also known as Yandere Freak, and how their actions would ultimately lead to the death of a friend. And just to let you know, but I post solved, unsolved, and strange cases here on a weekly basis. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, please consider subscribing to Coffeehouse Crime.
I'll
So
consider
pull up a
it.
seat, grab a coffee, and sit back.
20 minutes.
This is the case of Snow the Salt Queen.
In and out. Doing some in and
A
out.
quick shout out to today's sponsor, Babbel.
Yeah, fuck
Culture,
off.
people, 3 weeks with Babbel. Our story today takes us to Houston, Texas.
Oh, hell, Texas.
We've been here before, but Houston has a lot to offer. Becoming one of the leading states in science, IT, and space,
Damn, we'll miss you
the city
pacing.
is brimming with jobs in the technology industry. Houston's climate is classified as humid tropical,
I love it
meaning
now.
that the summers can be very hot, and extreme weather such as hurricanes and tropical storms should be expected. But otherwise, the weather here can be very pleasant, in which Houston's residents have a choice of over 300 parks to visit in the sunshine.
Is this a Houston ad?
The city even has a pool in the shape of Texas.
That's
which is
badass.
actually very cool. And into the western suburbs of Houston lived Helen. Helen was born in July of 2002 to her father Philip and mother Susan. They were both geneticists, working nearby at Baylor College of Medicine. Helen was well loved as a child, and she had many hobbies while growing up, including theatre, swimming, music camp, and even robotics. She was also very curious as a child, and liked to challenge everything that she learned. Her parents were very affluent when it came to
We'll
traveling,
miss you pacing.
and as a result, Helen would begin to see the world from a very young age, visiting many
Damn.
countries such as Japan, Croatia, and Norway.
Damn.
And it was on these trips that she developed an affinity towards Japan and its culture.
I want to go to Japan
Her
so
early
bad.
childhood was bright and fruitful, but around the age
Fucking
of
cat
11,
hair, bro.
when Helen enrolled into Alty International Middle School, Helen's almost perfect life began to display signs of trouble. She
We'll
was
see you
very
then, Pace
friendly,
Pace.
caring, and kind, and evidently, she didn't expect that others could be quite the opposite. Eventually, Helen found herself being bullied, and to top this off, she also
bullying.
developed misophonia, a condition in which individuals experience intense anger and disgust when they are confronted by sounds made by others. Helen progressed into her teenage years with these burdens, and soon after she started identifying as
Lucky
pansexual,
Kara.
someone who feels attraction towards someone else regardless of their gender. Helen also began to identify as non-binary, and although neither of these things should ever be considered as negative, it apparently was for others. Helen started being bullied by other people after entering a same-sex relationship. Moving into 8th grade, Helen's friend, who went by the name of Bailey, invited her to attend a local convention. This convention focusing on
Let's go, Swan.
cosplay, a performance art in which participants dress in costumes that represent characters from anime, video games, television, and film. Helen found this concept really interesting. In a world where she was finding pain and sadness, was this whole other world where she could forget about herself
We gotta start
and
the funding,
pretend to be
Kato.
someone else. And
Break open the penny jar.
actually, the subculture of cosplay is huge. Becoming known as cosplay since 1984, popularity in the subject has done nothing but grow throughout the years.
I love cosplay,
it's
bro.
a lot more common than you may think. Just dressing up as Spider-Man in a morph suit counts. There's an enormous amount of creativity inside the cosplay community. A community that, as of today, is worth over $5 billion worldwide.
Damn.
And it's expected to hit upwards of $32 billion by the
Figure
year
it out, Swan.
2030. There are conventions, shops,
Where is the
websites,
CFO today?
cafes, and even entire districts like Akihabara in Tokyo that are dedicated to cosplay.
That's
And with the
insane.
world of the internet, this community is hyper-connected on the likes of Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and more. Discovering the world of cosplay was a big factor to Helen's life.
I wish I got into
And she would
cosplay.
continue to academically succeed at school, but she would
Rice
now
balls
start
are
to focus more
fire.
of her social attention towards this
crazy.
community. And over
Deku!
time, her social circle
Deku!
flourished. Helen's TikTok channel growing to over 120,000 followers. As time progressed, Helen would further establish herself in the cosplay community, making many new friends. And 2 years later in 10th grade, one of those new friends went by the name of Snow. Formerly named Mary Ann Oliver Snow by their parents, they renamed to be known as Snow the Salt Queen, Yandere Freak, or just Snow. If you remember my case on Yukataka, Yandere is a Japanese term for a character who is kind, nurturing, and lovable, that eventually turns violent and possessive over a love interest.
Ooh,
Snow
I
would
love a
also
Yandere.
identify as non-binary. Born in September of 1998 and also from Houston, they were a local to the area, and would often meet with Helen to hang out. Snow was, in one way, extremely successful in the cosplay community. In fact, her presence was titanic. Over the years of making their own suits and mingling with other cosplayers, Snow had amassed over 1.6
You can
million
pull it off,
followers
Swan.
on TikTok,
What did you mean?
with over 60,000 followers on Instagram and over 15,000 subscribers on YouTube. They would often dress up as characters such as Diva from Overwatch and Junko Enoshima from Danganronpa. Snow also described themselves as the real Junko Enoshima from the cult gaming franchise Danganronpa, a video game in which high school students are locked in a school and made to kill each other in order to escape. And although Snow had a large crowd, they also had some very disturbing controversies behind them. Snow was rather notorious for dressing up as underage characters and creating nude photos for fans who were willing to pay her large sums of money in return. And although
Yoicks.
nude photo shoots aren't necessarily a bad thing,
Listen,
the
life's all
underage
about
dressing
stopping out of
aspect
your
was a very troubling
comfort
detail to
zone.
many. Putting this issue to the side, one of the most controversial moments prior to 2021 happened in the year
That'd be sick,
2019,
Swanee.
when Snow and one of their friends travelled to West Hill Cemetery in Texas. It was during this trip that Snow recorded themselves dancing on graves in cosplay outfit, while also sitting bare ass and pushing their boots against gravestones. And after posting this video to social
Damn.
media, the cosplay community
That's
would push back
disrespectful.
pretty hard on Snow's actions. And although it may not be offensive to some, it is indisputable that Snow showed no respect or remorse by quite literally dancing on the graves of dead people. And to make matters worse, as hundreds of
Tanjiro.
peers chimed in to
Ben
show
has
their
a
disgust
Tanjiro
at Snow's
cosplay.
actions, Snow would release a statement claiming that they had
I haven't
permission
written
to
Goku
pose on
one.
those graves from the cemetery. But to Snow's surprise, very shortly after this, the cemetery's superintendent would release an email to decline this allegation, and furthermore threatened to arrest Snow if they ever did it again. Snow
Damn.
would carry on to mock anyone who was upset by their actions, and continued to provoke the situation both on Instagram and TikTok. And further hate was found after they'd allegedly scheduled a fundraiser for their sick kittens, before pocketing
What
the
up,
money for their own
puns?
personal benefit. Despite these controversies, Helen soon found herself becoming good friends with Snow, and the two started hanging out very often. It was around this time that Susan started noticing strange behaviour from her daughter. The reality of it was that Snow and their friends would drink alcohol and smoke weed very frequently, both of which eventually
Damn.
found their way to Helen. Friends outside of this group would also highlight that Snow and co appeared to be drunk or high almost all of the time,
Hey,
and
you, I'm
this
doing
further
pretty
created
good.
tension between Helen and her mother. We're moving forward to the year 2020. Following years of hard work at school, Helen had finally been accepted into Oberlin College, found southwest of Cleveland. And so, by autumn of that same year,
Kit,
Susan helped
how
her
you
daughter
today? We're
move
watching a
from
cosplay true crime from cosplay to killer.
her home in Houston to Ohio.
Damn.
Helen had been
Ohio.
living at Snow's house for the few weeks prior. With both parents being high-risk patients to coronavirus, Helen decided to live with Snow while they quarantined. The mother and daughter had recently fallen out over Helen's former choice in friends. But that was behind them now. It was time for her to start a
Gotta
new
find a
life at
suite.
college. And hopefully with new friends too.
Welcome in, everybody. I appreciate my
Early
active,
days
loyal
brought forth
chatters.
hope. As college began, Helen started to post less content online.
Swan,
she
you
appeared
should
to be
for real,
making new
bro.
connections
You
in
can,
her
you
new
can.
town.
It's just an escape, a form of
But
expressionism.
unfortunately, as November creeped around, So did a resurgence of COVID cases. This meaning that Oberlin College had to be shut down, and therefore Helen would return to Houston and to Snow's house, where she could continue her classes virtually. The news wasn't great for Helen's development, not educationally, and arguably not socially either. But with a little bit of luck,
I love
maybe
Street
Helen
Fighter.
could return to college in the new
Nah,
year.
you're gonna look great,
Snow's
Sammy. You
house
should do that for the
wasn't a great place
competition.
for Helen to be studying either. Being in the sticks, it was far away from the city and all of its services. And with Snow and the housemates spending most nights drinking or getting high, the pull to be irresponsible
Don't
was
get me
greater
excited.
too. Apparently, the place also smelled of cat piss. Nevertheless, Helen tried to make it
The
work.
cat piss
Snow
smell.
was her friend after all. She may have made many mistakes in her past, she was very reckless, and her lifestyle currently was not healthy at all. But Helen could ignore this for now. Unfortunately, that would all change on the 17th of January 2021.
I would do a Bakugo cosplay for sure.
It was a Thursday night, and Helen was with Snow and 5 other friends at Snow's rented property. The group were inside, and they'd been drinking since the previous afternoon.
Damn, these kids are lit.
Began to sleep, they would carry on drinking into the
Bro,
night.
Swan, I've
while
seen some
watching a few
crazy
films.
Chun-Li
As the hour struck
cosplays.
midnight, the
You know
group
what I mean?
decided to watch Gotham, a spin-off series based around the city of Batman.
It's a good
Tonight's
series.
selection of drinks was vodka and Dr. Pepper, and most attendees were already buzzed at this stage. But in addition to the drinking, Snow had also been smoking marijuana in the recent hours.
Was crazy, and you didn't drop pics? Interesting. Be so good. Dude, I want to do cosplays, but like shit's just expensive, honestly. Red Baron. Yo! CFO! Torque!
It was while Snow and a friend were out in the garage that Snow spotted their ex-boyfriend's Glock pistol. And in the fleeting moment, Snow took the gun out of its case before taking it inside to carry on with movies. Shortly after 1 AM, Gotham was still playing, and the merry group was still chatting and joking around. Eventually, Snow remembered the gun in their pocket. They pulled
What
it
the
out
fuck?
and began to mess around with it.
Why do people play with guns, bro? Like, do they not understand that, like, playing... Nothing good can ever come from playing with a gun, chat. Never, ever, ever play with a firearm.
People knew the gun was there, and this wasn't the first time
What?
that Snow had flaunted it at parties.
It's not a toy.
A mutual friend asked Snow to shoot them with the gun, and in their drunk and high state, Snow responded by raising it to their head before lowering the pistol. Wanting to fit in the moment, Helen allegedly replied with, "Oh, do me." Snow turned to her right, raised the gun to Helen's head, and pulled the trigger.
What the fuck? Shutterbop, I know, Swan. There's so many...
Despite thinking the gun was unloaded, the pistol was, in fact, not. In raw surprise and shock, Snow had accidentally shot Helen in the head. Helen collapsed to the floor instantly. Blood was spilling into the carpet, and it appeared that Helen was dead.
What the
Police were
fuck?
called straight after this,
Or
and
in the
after
chamber?
arriving, Snow would say in official statements that they assumed the gun was empty. They did not intend to shoot Helen.
Oh no, not even like checking to see if the firearm had any, like, what the fuck?
Snow believed it was safe. Apparently, their
For
ex-boyfriend
real,
had said he had
Swanson.
taken all the bullets out of the magazine. But this is one of many examples where Snow didn't think hard enough. It's a common mistake to believe that once a magazine is unloaded from a pistol, all bullets are vacant from the
Yeah,
gun,
it must have been one in the
and
barrel.
therefore the gun is disarmed.
With Texas, for real. They didn't clear it. Yeah, you gotta clear it. You gotta lock the slide back and make sure, you know, there's still not one in the chamber.
But the reality is that even after unloading, it is still very likely that a bullet will still be ready in the chamber. And in this case, that was true. Emergency medical technicians would arrive to the property to find Helen alive,
Fourth time
but
this
only
week.
barely.
Texas is
And after
down
having
bad.
MRI scans at the hospital, it was learned that there was almost no brain activity whatsoever. Helen was
Damn.
placed on life support, before sadly dying 2 days later.
On at least.
She passed away at 5 PM on the 19th of January 2021. In the weeks and months after Helen's death,
That's
barely
crazy.
anyone would learn of the details as to how she died, or who by.
This is
In
wild.
fact, many of those back in Oberlin College thought that she had taken her own life. And over on Snow's TikTok and
Intended role. Yeah, never ever pick up a gun unless you plan to shoot it or clean it or something like that, and never point at anything unless you're gonna pull the trigger.
Instagram accounts, it
Poor
wasn't obvious
baby.
that something catastrophic had occurred in their life either. Actually, they were still posting new videos as if nothing had happened.
And they were still posting TikToks like nothing.
And although Snow was charged with manslaughter, they were released with a bond of $20,000 just 2 days later, meaning that they were able to remain out of jail until their court date scheduled later this year.
People are fucking crazy, bro.
It was noted that 4 days after this incident, Snow posted a video to TikTok to say, "I will be taking a hiatus. I'm unsure how long, but I will keep you all updated." However, to the disgust of those who knew, Snow would return to the platform with new cosplay videos only 3 weeks later. And perhaps this is the most disturbing part to the story, but some of these new videos were centered around death and bodies. Despite killing one of their friends,
What the
they were back to
fuck?
posting videos like this.
Gromit! Wake up, Gromit! Come on, Gromit! We've got to hide the body! There's no cheese and crackers in prison, Gromit! Now come on! Who will they believe? A man or his dog?
What the involuntary manslaughter? But the fear is there. What the fuck? Now hide the body's crazy.
Insides are red, yours are too, and the red on my face is matching you. And goodness, you're bleeding, what a wonderful feeling. You're down and you're bleeding, my head is just reeling. The red means I love you.
Will you help me hide a body?
Huh? Darling, it's so hard to be 16 and schizo, but I know it's worth the cost.
Several months
What the fuck as well, bruh? This is insane.
passed, and by August of this year, prosecutors had actually sought to revoke Snow's bail due to them allegedly violating the conditions of their bond. These violated conditions included failing to report to pretrial services, failing to comply with curfew requirements, and allowing the GPS tracker's battery to die and be out of service for more than 4 hours. And moving into October of this year, the world would slowly begin to realise that Helen's death was due to the actions of Snow. In response, Snow
What the
deleted their
fuck?
accounts on TikTok and Instagram in an effort to distance themselves away from an ever-increasing backlash.
Damn.
Snow has since vanished offline.
Yeah.
All in the meanwhile,
Hopefully she's in
Helen's family
fucking
and friends
jail.
are left to pick up the pieces.
This is so fucked.
And, unfortunately, that is where we are today. It is not clear if Snow will plead guilty to their second-degree charges of manslaughter, or if they will take it to court. With a charge of manslaughter to the second degree, it is very likely that Snow will receive up to 20 years behind bars for the reckless endangerment and death of their friend. But on the other hand, even if found guilty, this sentence could be as little as 2 years, and a maximum fine of up to $10,000. Snow is someone who has repeatedly found themselves in the spotlight over controversial matter which is usually self-inflicted, and never addressed with grace or ownership by Snow themselves. One thing that everyone can agree on is that guns
the
and
fuck
alcohol
outta
do
me.
not mix, and whether you're for or against the use
$10,000 or 2 years of justice.
of guns in defensive situations, a responsible owner would never allow one to be bought out in times of low self-control. I think that's the message to today's case. Being reckless with a firearm is extremely dangerous, and can have
It
some
really
of the
is,
most
bro.
profound consequences to someone's life. And that brings us to the victim of today's tragic case, Helen. Helen was only 18 years old at the time of her death.
18, bro. That's tragic.
She was only beginning to find
Found
her
her
adult
out.
self, and was on course to have a very
It's
fruitful
wild.
life, with a successful career path after years of memories at college. Hurt from the wrongdoings of bullies in her past, she didn't let that stop her from continuing to be a good person.
Damn.
Ultimately, she found herself in a crowd that arguably wasn't good for her. And although they were a friend, 23-year-old Snow was a reckless being and was well known for acting without thinking. A recklessness that, although accidental, eventually had Helen killed.
That is fucked.
And
It's
this
so
case also
fucked.
highlights the depths in which social media influencers may take to maintain their popularity among their peers. Despite this tragedy,
It's so crazy how much different she looks in her cosplay versus like with nothing on too.
they carried on as if nothing was amiss. Behind the smoke and mirrors of Snow the Salt Queen lay the death of their own friend. Following the initial silence after Helen's death, her family has since spoken out to news sites such as the Rolling Stone to
That's
highlight Helen's
insane.
story and remember her. And as for exactly what will happen to Snow, we will just have to wait and find out. Thank you so much
And
for
didn't
watching another
care,
video
for
today
real.
by Coffee House Crime. This case was definitely different to my usual type of format. I feel that, past the devastation and strangeness to this case, it has a strong message to share with us all, mostly centered around the dangers of guns in uncontrolled environments, and the importance
He said he had another
177.
Yandere killer. The real life Yandere.
She was a sweet, soft-spoken young woman. Nobody would have expected her to do what she did.
Sitting in
My name
jail.
is Adrian,
I
and
could probably
welcome
look
back
it up.
to another espresso case by Coffee House Crime. Lesser known solved and unsolved cases in less than 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, she had
Now
her
this
trial.
case is a bizarre one, not the type I'd usually cover. Today we're looking at the case of Yuka Takeoke and her victim Phoenix Luna. She's considered to be a real-life yandere in Japan. I'll cover that definition in a moment. Alright, I hope you're ready. This is the case of Yuka Takeoke.
Let's see if I can find it. Her court case now.
Our short story starts in Tokyo, Japan. It was October 2018, and 21-year-old Yuka Takeoki resided in Shinjuku City. Shinjuku is a special district in Tokyo,
don't see
known
it.
for its buzzing clubs, karaoke rooms, and upscale restaurants, all of them shrouded by skyscrapers. Yuka was living an alternate life, or at least by Western standards. She dropped out of university
No,
at the
someone
age of
at home.
19 to become the manager
Same person? No, this is a real life Yandere.
of a hostess club in Shinjuku. Hostess clubs are popular in the nightlife industry of East Asian countries, typically hiring female employees to serve drinks and provide thoughtful conversation to male customers. And Yuka was also a fan of anime, a style of Japanese animation typically aimed for
Got it,
both adults
thanks.
and children. She was so much of a fan, in fact, that she would often post
Growing
pictures
up when I watched anime, I was always like, I want to find myself an IRL Yandere.
of herself dressing up and cosplaying as some of her favourite characters on her Twitter and Instagram pages, still up to this date. She was a quietly shy individual,
Honestly, it is so weird. Like, so many killers nowadays that I've seen in like newer documentaries and stuff, you can go look at their socials because a lot of their socials will still be up, and you'll see like all their tweets. Like, some of them seem so normal, and then some of them tweet such weird, fucked up stuff.
the type of person who initially wouldn't say
Instagram,
much,
same
but
thing.
grew confidence the more she knew you. Generally laid back and sweet, not the type you'd expect any problems from.
Made me think like, I mean, low key doesn't sound too bad still.
Back to anime. One of her favourite types of
I like
cosplays was
Future
of
Diary.
yandere characters, a specific type of personality.
Oh no, bro. This has gotta be like, if she cosplays as this, bro, it's a red flag.
Yanderes are generally kind,
I like
nurturing, and lovable
I like the pink hair.
women, ones of which that eventually turn violent and possessive over a love interest. Can you see where this is going? In October that year, while still working
To
at
be a
hostess
ninja,
bar,
that's
she
even
met
better.
a 20-year-old man named Phoenix Luna. He was also
K-pop.
a host at a nearby host bar called Fusion Nightclub. Host bars are the same as hostess bars, just hiring male employees for female customers. And Phoenix Luna was in a game of his own. He was very popular amongst the hosts in Shinjuku,
They're in Japan.
and often was in the bar's leaderboards. A lot of
It's
his
the
female
fangs
patrons
for me,
often
yeah.
returning for his bartending services. Now, just to point out, this is all safe for work. Host bars and hostess bars are strictly PG. At least officially. Other than having things in common, Yuka and
Bro,
Phoenix
I want to get fangs too, bro.
were in the same industry. They understood each other well from a professional point of view.
Is Amazon mean
And with
Fang
their late night
implants?
work schedules matching, it meant that they had a lot of time out of working hours to connect as friends. It was due to these reasons over the following weeks and months that the two grew closer to each other, and eventually started dating. The relationship wasn't all fine and dandy though. Although their matching hours gave them more time to
Bro, let's get matching fangs, homie.
see each other,
They look so
it also
cute.
created
The
some
real
tension
ones are like
between the two.
$4,000 a
With Yuka
piece.
and Phoenix both working in the same
Like they
industry,
actually cap over your
one
teeth.
designed to generate money through flirting, it posed and bared a risk for the Green Devil: jealousy. And oh boy, did that work for Yuka. Over the following months, she grew more and more possessive over him, often monitoring his whereabouts and even checking on his phone when he wasn't looking. She grew so ever increasingly jealous over Phoenix that eventually she...
Let's go, this light work. $4,000 a tooth, so $8,000 for like veneers basically, like over your canines.
She outright bought
Get you
his
with
services from the bar, paying over $9,000
That are
a month
good, really?
just so he wouldn't see any other women.
Wait, what?
Paying over $9,000 a month just so he wouldn't see any other
She was paying him $9,000 a month not to look at other girls? What?
women. A little bit strange, don't you think?
No, that sounds
And
awesome.
it is now May the 23rd, 2019.
My bars
a
suck
few months
ass.
after the two had started dating. Things were going pretty well for the two.
She's
and
kind of
despite a few
cooking.
tensions here and there, the two were happy.
But she-
Yuka
how
was
much?
still managing the hostess
Wait.
bar, and business was solid.
I need
She'd
9K
taken
a
a couple
month.
days off of work to sort some things out in the apartment. She'd asked Phoenix to drop by her house to help with some DIY.
Dude,
in which
Japan
he
is so
agreed.
cool,
He'd
bruh.
arrived at her home much
Like
later
the
than
architecture to
expected, though.
homes.
It was a very long shift at the bar.
What up,
that night,
Osby?
and when he got in, he was exhausted. He asked Yuka if he could run himself a bath to relax, in which she agreed. One he got into, and then fell asleep in. During that time though, Yuka had once again snooped through her boyfriend's phone.
That was Max.
And while doing so, she found a few photos of him
Bro, for
with
real,
another woman.
Umi.
She didn't know who she was, and it couldn't
Not
be a client
snooping through the phone, that's fucked.
because she'd bought him out. This discovery enraged Yuka. She'd noticed for the last couple days that he'd been distant with her.
She kind of
She
looks
put that
like you,
together
Umi.
with these photos and took it as evidence that he was cheating on her. So how would you confront your partner if you were suspicious over a picture? Discuss any problems in the relationship? Ask if everything's okay? Not for Yuka. That's not how she rolled. After waking up in the bath, Phoenix put on some underwear. He then crept into the bedroom and slid into the bed, trying not to wake Yuka, who was supposedly already asleep. And because he was so already exhausted from all of his shifts the last few days, he passed out pretty much
Look
immediately.
like me, bestie.
Some time had passed when all of a sudden Phoenix felt an uncomfortable feeling coming from his stomach. He looked down, and that's when he saw a knife lodged into his abdomen. Waking up in surprise and terror,
What
he looked
the
back
fuck?
up to see Yuka arched over him. Is this real? Am I dreaming? He thought. Running on pure adrenaline, he shoved her off the
IRL
bed and ran out the
Yandere.
room. Yuka chased Phoenix, grabbing him as he left the front door. Him being taller though, he was stronger and pushed her away as he reached the elevator. By now, Phoenix was losing a lot of blood. The elevator door was closing, and it was heading towards the ground
She
floor.
wasn't cosplay.
And
No,
as the
she
elevator door
was,
opened up
for
to the
sure.
lobby, he lunged forward,
Fucked
almost
up.
to safety, and then lost consciousness. Yuka had caught up with Phoenix. He lay collapsed on the floor of the hotel lobby, blood pooling around his body. By now, passersby
Damn.
had noticed the horrific scene unfolding, and the police,
Yeah.
they'd called them immediately. But Yuka, she wouldn't leave his side. She just sat there next to his body, and people were too scared to get close to them in case she did something back. And the following picture is what has made this case notorious. When they got there, police found Yuka sat next to his body, drenched in his blood, casually smoking a cigarette while on the phone to her friend.
What the
In the time it had
fuck?
taken police to get there, she'd also written a letter, with his blood, repeatedly saying "I love you" over and over and over again. Tokyo Metropolitan Police apprehended Yuka immediately.
Jesus
They would find the
Christ.
letter that she wrote along with the knife she'd used to stab Phoenix in her
That's
apartment.
fucked up. You don't
When
say.
the officer had asked her why she did it, she replied with, "I was sad and seeking to die. I thought that if I kill him, I could be with him. I thought that expressions such as 'I like you' and 'I would like to be with you' would become reality if we both died."
Oh my
Numerous witnesses
god.
watched as police escorted Yuka into the back of their vehicle.
But this
And
is
when she got in there,
crazy.
she was smiling. And as for the victim, Phoenix Luna, he was still alive, but only barely. Following the speed in which police and paramedics had got to the apartments, he had not yet passed from his
Oh my
injuries.
god.
He was transported to a local hospital where he remained in critical condition, with only a 20% chance to
For
survive.
real Turk.
But on July the 1st, an entire month after he was stabbed in the
Man,
abdomen,
it's a Yanderes,
to
a
everyone's
psychopath.
surprise, Phoenix Luna was alive and recovering. He tweeted friends and fans to say, "Sorry, I'm alive and back," before adding, "Since I was stabbed in the liver, I can't drink." Being a survivor of a horrific experience, Phoenix agreed to attending a local interview.
Oh my god.
And in that interview, he refused to show any hate towards Yuka. When asked, he said
Bro,
that
Japanese men are like, it's like that, are like so like chivalrous.
not
That's
hold a
crazy.
grudge.
This is like a real
He
life
even
anime
pleaded with the
plot.
judge to reduce her sentence. On Thursday the 5th of December 2019,
What?
the presiding judge sentenced Yuka to
Went
3
like
years
that.
and 6 months for attempted murder. Did I get that right? Yep, 3 years and 6 months. On Thursday the 5th of December
For
2019,
attempted murder?
the presiding judge handed Yuka a prison term of 3 years and 6 months for attempted murder. Yuka and Phoenix previously had made a court settlement for her to pay him 5 million yen, the equivalent of $47,000 as a means to reduce her time behind bars. At her hearing, the court judge declared,
You wanted
"If
money!"
possible, I want people to be able to lead a normal life rather than paying for their sins." And the story doesn't end there.
He's just like
Following
Kirito.
Yuka's attempted murder and imprisonment, she grew an entire online community of fans, most of which are invested in anime culture that possess a deep
What?
admiration for her, hailing her as if she were a real-life yandere. Her fans believed that she didn't need to be condemned for her
Someone look her
actions,
up.
only
The
rehabilitated.
real Umi.
She even had a GoFundMe-style campaign raised for her, and while the campaign was shut down, at the time she was receiving over $3,800 from 69 contributors, almost enough
69.
needed to get her out of prison.
It's like
Following Yuka's
Shrek.
crime of attempted murder, she is now scheduled to be released from prison in May 2023.
She's out! Here's our chance, chat.
And that's the story of Yuka Takeuchi.
What was her Instagram?
Hailing her
She's out of jail right now, chat. Why you? Oh my god. She's on Instagram. Oh my god, the comments. Everyone's simping for her. I love you, queen. I won't lie. How can everyone be so chill after what she did? Damn.
as if she were a real-life yandere. Her fans believed that she didn't need to be
Either
condemned
just
for her
whatever she
actions.
is. She was killed someone and is getting money for it.
Only rehabilitated.
That's what it
She even
takes.
had a GoFundMe-style campaign raised for her. You think about this case. Do you find these stories with slightly happier endings as